Red alert! Set an intention. Go to Salon Trek.
We're also thrilled to announce that we now serve Raktajino.
Hoopla!
Ahoy, hoy, friends, and welcome to the Salon. I'm your host, Stan Williams, and I am neither corporeal nor linear. Tonight, we are talking about the incredible 5th episode of Star Trek Starfleet Academy's first season. Before we do all of the podcast things, we are live at 6:30 p.m. Pacific on a Thursday over on YouTube, as you know, at Salon Trek. We are at Salon Trek on Twitter, Bluesky, Patreon, all the podcast platforms. The one difference is the new one. We are at the Salon Trek on Instagram, but Salon Trek everywhere else, including podcast platforms and Patreon. If you want to throw a couple of dollars our way to help cover the cost of the salon and get some fun benefits, including for those who give $5 or more, some fun bonus episodes. We did one just a few days ago with a special guest, Lori Ulster from Trek Movie, which was super fun. We're doing a couple of months of Star Trek Academy themed episodes. So we started with an episode whose name I remember, and I believe it was The First Duty. And I'm seeing a head shaking. Thank you very much, Trevor in the wings. All right, y'all. Like I said, we are talking about episode 5, series Acclamation Mill, written beautifully, spoiler alert for my top thoughts, by Kirsten Beyer and Tawny Newsome, directed by Larry Tang. Now, to bring us forward into this mystery of an episode, we must beam in the crew, starting, of course, with my co-host, Trevor. How you do?
I'm drinking glitter, not throwing up glitter.
Well, speaking of glitter, here's Krista. How you do?
I love the throw up glitter. I wish I had that superpower.
Speaking of superpowers, here's Canada. Benji, how are you?
Hi, great. Hi, everyone.
Speaking of greatness, here's Joanne. Joanne, how are you?
I am well. I'm made of glitter.
Also made of glitter, here's Matt. Matt, how's your gay little ass doing?
She's chipper and perky as always.
Listen, that segue would not work here. Here's Will.
Yeah.
See, I knew it. You rotten old bitch. You dirty old bitch. I hate
Prove
you.
me wrong and come in perky, but no, you come in, you're like, you dirty old bitch.
You set me up. Start
Speaking
the
of dirty
show,
old bitches, Stan.
Start the show, you goblin.
Yes. Goblin them. No. Welcome everybody. We are talking about series Acclamation Mill, like we said, written by Tawny Newsome, and yes, friend of the pod, Kirsten Beyer. Please believe we will be chatting with her in the future. So stay tuned for that. But before we do that, before we have that orb experience or this orb experience of talking about this episode, y'all know we simply must set an intention.
This is obvious, but don't forget to set an intention when you light it, or you're just going to be wasting the wax.
Indeed, we must. Stop trying to copy me. In order to set an intention tonight, I thought it would be fun, in honor of Tawny's appearance in this episode as a character other than Mariner, I thought it would be fun if we went around the room and shared another Star Trek actor that we would like to see play a different character than the one that we know them for. As always, I will start us off, and I'm not saying this just to plug the fact that we interviewed her, but I'm going to say Nahla Visitor. In literally any series, I don't care, but I would love to actually see her in Strange New Worlds for some reason. I don't know why. A couple of different roles I could see her playing. It would be really fun just to see her as an admiral, because Bajoran versus Starfleet reasons. But yeah, so Nana's my answer, and I'm sticking to it. Let's go around the room. Benji, my dear.
Well, my first thought was that Holly Hunter should come back to Star Trek. But she's already in Star Trek right now, so hopefully she'll come back again. I really think, one thing I like that they do in Star Trek sometimes is because you can put alien makeup on people like they did today. You can bring anybody back. I think Mary Chieffo is a fantastic creature actor and can slip into any skin, and I think she would be wonderful to come back as another alien, sort of like what they did with Bruce Horak. So yeah, she's my pick.
Love it. William?
I had one and it went away.
Where'd it go?
I always think of other people I think would be funny to be in Star Trek. Like if they managed to get Mark Hamill at some point, it'd be really funny. But I was gonna say Norman stole this in the chat. I was gonna say Jeffrey Combs. I think just having him show up randomly, like how we have Brent Spiner shows up as every sung ever. So to have him show up as just someone random, I think is really great. There's some fan casting for him for Strange New Worlds, I think would work well. But just bring him back anywhere. Just throw him in. I think it'd be great.
I love it. Mateo?
See, I was going to say Jeffrey Combs because I feel like he needs to, as long as he's alive and acting, I think he should be in every iteration of Star Trek somehow. I think it should just be a running gag that Jeffrey Combs. But on the opposite end of the same coin, opposite side of
anyway,
Susie Plaxton. Also, somebody that
That's what
we're all going to domino effect out. Because she had been, we had 3-4 of her, Combs obviously has more, but yeah, I would love to see one of the two of them show back up. I know it's kind of a cop out, but
Krista, do you have another answer, or do you just want to spend your time making fun of the Sissy Lala that went before you?
I'm going to make fun of the Sissy Lala that went before me because he dared to say it's kind of a cop out, and I don't do cop out, bitch. I don't do cop out. So my second choice, right off the rip, was with all the DS9 and going on. I'm just going to go with let's have Ronan show up, not as Shakir, not as Ronan, but as
Shakar,
whatever his name was, Hamana.
Very famously leader of the Shakar resistance cell.
Hey man, I had to do a last minute substitution because the little Dixie cup before me took my answer.
In fairness, Krista, his hips also don't lie, so we understand the confusion.
Oh God, I'm clipping that Dixie cup. Oh my God.
We can do in honor of real time. We can do rapey ghost, weird fanatical dude, and it would be fun if he was Holly Hunter's type.
Speaking of weird fanatical dudes, look who's in the chat.
William Shatner. No, I'm kidding. Hi, Ken.
Hello, Ken. Hope you're feeling better. Thank you for joining us in the chat.
Well, okay, next.
Joanne.
So
do you have any Latin pop stars you'd like to see in Star Trek?
I know. Shakira, Sheila E.,
Bad Bunny. Can we have Bad Bunny?
You can have Bad
any
Bunny.
Any of those would work. I too had someone else in my mind, and it's gone now.
Oh.
But I would like to see the guy who played General Martok show back up as something, Yeah. How about that?
Love it. More JG and Trek. Stan.
Yes, all of them. I would love to see Dawn Lewis in Trek again, either a new animated series or in live action. I loved her as Captain Freeman in Lower Decks, and she's just such a wonderful presence whenever she's on screen, all of her interviews. And I loved Captain Freeman. So I would love to see Don Lewis back in the franchise as another character. Well, Trevor, excellent intention setter as always. The intentions are set. And like I was so tempted to make a joke about, well, let's talk about a meh episode. Like, this episode was incredible. So let's just fucking get into it. I am so excited to talk about this. Let's go. I loved this episode. It's my favorite of this show so far. It's probably my favorite in the streaming era. It's just incredible. I have talked before about my complicated non-relationship with my father. And it's a weird thing to realize as a kid that my dad loved me, but he didn't like me. And that's a hard realization to have as a kid. And so it led me to seek father figures in TV, including Trek, Data, Riker, LaForge, and then an actual father in Trek. I remember watching the pilot of Deep Space Nine and seeing, oh, that's what a dad is supposed to be. And this episode today hit me in my soul. I was nervous about this episode. I didn't want spoilers for this episode. This character means so much to so many people, not only Benjamin Sisko, but Dax. And for us to get both of them was just incredible. Kirsten and Tani wrote a stunningly beautiful episode that, like the rest of Starfleet Academy so far, leans into its premise to tell its story in a way that's compelling. Carice Brooks is such a gem as Sam, and the heart and soul of this episode, the joy that she brings when she's on screen is just, it's stunning. Having Sirach back, getting Tani to be Dax, I don't know Tani Newsome, but I am so thrilled for her that she is Dax. Like that, it's just incredible to me. And I could go on and on and on. We'll certainly get into it. This is probably going to be a longer episode for a lot of reasons, but I'll just stop there before I gush anymore and cry again. This episode was stunning, and I'm excited to talk about it. Joanne, how about your top thoughts on this episode?
I really enjoyed this episode. I was talking to Trevor very late, well, late for me, last night, and I think I maybe typed 2 sentences back to him because I was like, "Girl, I'm a wreck. I'm a wreck." So I really appreciated just the exploration of community and identity, of family, of legacy, of faith and commitment, just deftly waved throughout this entire episode. I think it is no secret, well, if you don't know, of my deep and abiding affection for Mr. Avery Brooks. I thought it was handled really well and with grace. Just a very loving tribute to not only his contribution, but for every person that has just not felt seen in their lives or at one point felt like they weren't enough. I'm going to stop before I cry. So I really enjoyed it. Krista.
I loved the episode. I think last week was primarily about the idea and the concept of dignity. I think this episode leans into the idea and concept of value, how you value yourself, how you value your community. I loved the callbacks to DS9. I loved that Tawny was a bit of an Easter egg for us. I think it's a beautiful example of how you do fan service without being insulting or gratuitous about it. You build instead of just sort of rehash. You build it out and give it a little bit more story. I loved that they leaned into the kind of tropey idea of how do you get somebody prepared to do another species' ritual. Bullhorns on the table. It was funny, but not like stupid. It was fun the way they all interacted, and it was fun the way I always kind of enjoyed those episodes where they were trying to figure out what are the rituals, what's the etiquette there. I thought it was beautiful that at the end, the voiceover was Avery Brooks himself. The closeout music was the DS9 theme song. This is fan service at its best. And so calling it fan service would be an insult. It's fan affection, it's fan love, and it's fan appreciation. And it sort of embodies the idea that the experience is lessened if you do not trust yourself to engage with the experience. You do not trust yourself to be free enough to go all in on the experience. And I think that's what Sam was kind of learning, and I'll get into that later. But I think, so many of us feel sort of disengaged. And I think that the episode really addresses why people get to a disengaged state and how they can sort of walk it back, and what is your own responsibility there, to yourself and to the path that you're on. So I'm getting way too wordy. So I really liked it. I like where they're going.
We say fan service a lot, and I think it's true. I think this was a tribute to. That's what it felt like. It felt like people that knew Deep Space Nine and that loved Deep Space Nine to their core, like a lot of us do. Like, that's who wrote this. That's who performed in this. That is who, there was these kids that, they're academy kids. They didn't really know Deep Space Nine. You had the whole Caleb thing of like, oh, whatever, like the prophets, that's stupid. Like, and then those of us who watched it, you're like, shut the entire hell up, you beautiful man. Like, you don't know what you're talking. Just sit there and be pretty. At least that's how I felt. But I was really, really touched with how the juxtaposition of them finding that out and Tawny kind of leading them through it as someone who has known and who like who knows what that character means, who knows what both of those characters mean. I was really lucky to be able to watch this for the first time with Matt Jennings last night, and watching it with him and seeing his perspective on this and what, resonated with him versus what was resonating with me. This was incredible. This was an episode of Star Trek that I never thought I would see, because we had, Picard season 3 was just a nostalgia bait by a guy that wanted to self-insert. This was written by someone who wanted to be as far away but do it right as possible, and she did that. And I could go on and on and on. I mean, I was okay. I was misty throughout it, but when they said about Dax, I'm gonna cry tonight. When she realized that she was Dax, and we know that Dax is now still around 800 years in the future. Okay, Will, go ahead.
What a gift this episode is. I mean, there's so much to take away from it. And I think it's it's a love letter to Star Trek, and it's a love letter to the people who make it. And it's a Star Trek episode that I don't think is not without fault. I think the B plot maybe was the weakest point, but in such a strong episode, I mean, how are you going to keep up with that? But I think it does it's something that Star Trek Academy is doing. Is it's not afraid to dig into the lore of Star Trek, 60 years of history, dig into it to re-examine the past so it can bring us to the future. It's something that Captain Ake said early on in the series, was episode 1 or 2, that we have to re-examine our past, acknowledge our history, learn from it in order for us to have a bright, beautiful future. And I think this show is doing it in a way where I think it's doing it in a way where it is so respectful of the lore from people who understand it, and from people who are, it's not to break canon or, fill in a plot hole, or, look at how we're meeting this race for the first time. It's telling a story where it's saying the things we experienced watching DS9, what we went through with these other shows, it matters now. And it matters because these kids are now living that history in the future to bring themselves to their, that I always talk about. I would just want us all to live in a Star Trek future, how they're kind of rediscovering that for themselves. It was just is lovely. I think it hits the right tone. I think it's fun. I think, the nitpicks people have, I think they're not listening to what is being said. And that's what's frustrating, because it's not, they think that because the conversation that's happening is not coming from people that look like them and sound like them, that conversation is not worth listening to. And this show is, it is a conversation for all of us. And there's so much to pull away from this episode. There's so much that, like, I can't wait for us to talk about it, and I'll stop rambling. But this episode is a gift. This series is a gift. And I think there is something is happening. Like, I think that the people who hate this are the people who should be hating it, because it's not for them, it's for us. So fuck them. And God damn it, Star Trek. Benji, go.
Okay. I don't know what I can add to all that. I will say, like, one thing I noticed about this character, Sam, is that, like, we've had a lot of one-off characters like this where they have like an Organian or something, or they have those aliens. I forget which episode it was, where they stage the crash landing and this woman forces Picard to love her, and it just doesn't work. And this is the first time we've embedded one of those characters, like, as a main character in the show, to like really interesting effect. And, like, she sort of does play, in a sense, I hate to say it, but like the Data or Spock or 7 of 9 character. But that's important, because that's how Star Trek teaches us about us. I would argue that that's probably, like, if Star Trek is a format, and I think the format that a lot of people think that it is like a spaceship with a bridge crew and they go down and do missions. It's not that. It's characters like this that teach us about us. And I actually did learn something at the end of this episode. She said, our purpose is not understanding, it's becoming. And, like, I was knocked out by that. Like, I learned something today, and, like, I think it might actually, like, bring something to my life, like not diminishing it at all. Carice, absolutely phenomenal. Like, the real tears, like, incredible. I was feeling it right there with her. I love her, like, delivery. I like the way she says words and her unusual cadence. Like, she's a brand new person, so you have to come at this in a brand new way that, like, no one has thought of before. And she speaks in this unusual way, and I just, like, it does something, like, in my stomach. Like, I can feel it. I don't know how else to describe it. She deserves all the flowers coming to her for this performance. Like, this episode was just phenomenal, and a lot of that centers around her personally, I think. Anyway, Trevor, go ahead.
I think the fact that Joanne kind of called me out for having a conversation with her late last night tells you exactly how I felt. I was texting with Stan. I was texting with Joanne. I FaceTimed Matt. I was out of my body, and my husband I ran in to tell him all about the episode, and he was just grinning at me, and I was like, "What's happening?" And he's like, "Your nerd is showing." And I was like, "I can't control myself." And he's like, "I know." He's like, "Do you want to go watch it again?" And I was like, "Maybe, or maybe I'm just going to go talk to other nerds." So that's what I did. I found my happy place with my people. Um, we can get into plot point by plot point. I don't want to dwell on it now in top thoughts, just because I'll end up talking for the next hour all by myself. But I will just say, because I don't know, we'll probably touch on it, but I don't want to not have the opportunity to touch on Jake Sisko being the person who said that they weren't robbed of time, that the time that they had was beautiful and perfect. Um, a, I mean, I realize he's a fictional person, but a man who lost his father at what, 19, maybe 20, and could laugh about it joyfully and talk about how lucky they all were to have the time that they had together. The message of none of us knowing how much time we have, and I'm going to horribly paraphrase, but in my own sort of Trev way, shut the fuck up and enjoy yourself. That message is sort of my life goal. I don't wake up and try to focus a lot on problems and negativity. I certainly try to keep myself aware of the world around me, and I don't pretend like I don't have challenges and other people don't have challenges. But every day is a gift, and when I wake up, I remind myself of the fact that I get to have fun today. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to find a way. And
No, Trevor, you froze at such a beautiful moment too. I'm like, preach, Trevor, preach. There you are.
I fell into a wormhole. I don't know what happened. But the moral of the story that I was trying to make was that I didn't invent that philosophy, and I'm sure my grandfather didn't invent it, but that's where I got it from. My grandfather used to say, he lived to a very old age, but he used to say, "You can live twice as long as me, but I promise you, you will only have half as much fun." And it was just sort of a reminder that we only have so much time, and we don't know how much it is. So make it good. And the fact that people that lost people young can still recognize and honor the time that they had together is beautiful. And I think Sirach being the actor that gave that line and moved me so much, just reminded me of how good of an actor he is and how shocked I am that he hasn't done more.
Preach. I really appreciate you saying that. You know this, but I've had a rough week. My dog was sick. It was very expensive. I'm trying to build a business and find work, and gestures wildly at the world. I'm doing fine, and yeah, the purpose of life is to live. At this moment.
Now that I've said something super positive, can I drag a bitch?
Please do.
You may or may not know who this person is. I'm not going to name them because I'm not going to platform them. But if you proclaim yourself to be a fanatic, we'll say, and you regularly criticize people's skin tones, people's hair, people's accents, and it happens to be that you're always targeting women of color, we see what you're doing. If you, for some strange reason, have been a fanatic of Star Trek and don't know how to pronounce Sirach, do better, because you're coming off like a racist asshole. So take some time, watch more Star Trek, learn from it, and stop being a dick. Thanks.
Preach. Trevor is preaching tonight. We are all walking with Prophet Trevor.
It's the glitter.
It's the glitter. I want to go a little bit out of order getting us into this episode, as I agree the B plot of this episode, I enjoyed it, but it's distinct. So I feel like we can talk about that and then get into the rest of the bones of this episode. I kind of loved it in that it was sort of like a 90s Trek style B plot that was like tangentially connected, but not as connected as like who's to say what the B plot technically was in some of the previous week's episodes. This one, I thought we got some fun character moments with Ake and Commander Kelrick, who still has Captain Bars on, but whatever. Commander's maybe a title, not a rank in this case. It's fine. This production is wonderful. We nitpick because we love.
You're never letting it go.
I shan't. But again, Holly Hunter, so delightful and funny. Like it was just a few hours. This episode was so fucking good. I did not realize until just a little bit ago that Gina Yashere was not in this episode. And I assume that was a scheduling thing because like in that dinner scene, she would have been incredible. Who's to say she was missed after the fact because it was so good? But that dinner was fun for me because it got Tig and Robert Picardo. Time between the two of them to shine. Let's talk about that dinner. Who has thoughts on dinner? Let's go to Matt first.
First, I want to piggyback on the fact I firmly believe the way they set up that interaction between Tig and Gina earlier, that she was supposed to be, because Tig was playing two characters at that dinner table. I think that originally it was supposed to be the two of them there at the dinner table, and probably, like you said, a scheduling conflict or something. And she's like, you know what? I got this other thing, family member. I don't know what it was, but there's just a gut feeling that I think it was going to be like the two of them riffing off each other at that. I get that the dinner itself wasn't, it was a B plot. It's whatever. Like, it was fun. I think it was a fun palate cleanser to what was going on in the other one, because you get to see the kids partying and then you get to see the adults, you know, being adults and doing like Starfleet diplomatic things. I will say I agree with some other people. The whole rivalry between the schools, I'm kind of like, okay, like, are we really, Starfleet's back? Can we just get rid of the War College? But that's just me. I loved it, and it's tangential, it's part of the B plot, but her interactions with him every single time, I have realized that I talk a lot about Janeway and, you know, my love of Jadzia Dax and everything else. Nahla Ake is my person in Star Trek. She has eclipsed everything. The way she was in that fucking elevator, laying down and then just pushed her head up to like bonk him in the leg and just start talking to him. I love her. I'm obsessed with her. So yeah, was it absolutely ridiculous? Did we necessarily need it? No, but at the end of it, absolutely needed it. So I thought it was great. And the characters, none of them were taking it seriously, but they were all fully taking it seriously. And I think that's what showed, and I loved it so much.
Let's go to the one who is most likely on the salon to have a little bullhorn. Krista, you had your hand up. Your thoughts?
Oh my. I think piggybacking on Matt here, I think the whole point of Nahla Ake is in this episode was to demonstratively show what it means to be inside an experience. She could have just, you know, read the questions or acted the part, but she adopted an accent. She adopted a whole kind of personality, and it's amusing to watch. But I think the point that might go unseen is that she really is she is on the inside of the experience, simultaneous to Sam eventually getting into her own experience and moving from this sort of scientific observation into actual real-time participation. And I think it's easier to see with Nahla because she's, laying around. She wears weird decorations on her feet. She is just in the moment, every moment. And it's such a weird, though thoroughly refreshing way for a captain or a chancellor or whatever their roles are, for an authority figure to be presented in that way, because it's very inviting, and she really is very much the foil for who Sam is an emissary for. They're very strict. They're very rigid. They want the Cliff Notes version of Moby Dick. They don't want to slog through the whole fucking book and read through the whole thing. They just want the very scientific results of, can we trust these people? What are these people about? Whatever. And throughout the entire thing, she was trying to enunciate to them, you can't know about them unless you're in it with them. You have to jump into the experience. And that's the only way that you become yourself. I'm going way off topic. We'll get back to that.
You're as tangentially connected as the B plot was at times.
I didn't even know what the B plot was. Was it the two lovebirds? Was it schools against school?
The chancellors reconciling is what I consider the B plot. You made me think of. I think you were right what you were saying about Nahla. Like, it's about being present. She's trying to build a bridge with this commander, and he's just not having it. He's too rigid. But I loved what she said in the turbo lift about the context mattering. Like, you've lived in a time of absolutes. That's no longer where we're at. We gotta recognize the context around her decision to leave Starfleet, the context around reopening Starfleet Academy and sharing resources with the War College instead of just being completely separate. The context is what matters. Did anybody else have thoughts on the Joanne?
So I did think the B plot was really, kind of the comical flip of the themes happening in the larger plot. Because, you're right, it is, it was a great line about judging without context. But it was very much, I think, the mission that Sam was on, looking at the emissary strictly from the facts and not knowing the context, the people around him. Again, it was very much about, who are you? What are you afraid of? Like, all of the questions they asked at the dinner were very directly kind of played out in the larger plot. What are you trying to accomplish? What don't you want me to know about you? All of these things came up. So I know it seemed a little wacky at first, but I was kind of like, oh, it really is just kind of underscoring the themes that play out on the dramatic side of the plot. So I thought it worked. And it was funny. That whole lagoon thing had me cackling. Or a small lagoon there within.
You're boiling the ocean.
A small lagoon there within.
Yeah, I just to like jump off of what Joanne was saying, because I thought the B plot, while I thought it was the weakest part of the episode, that's like it's just because the A plot was so strong. It's like, how are you going to compare to that? But I like that it does foil that these people who are supposedly more established still have questions about who they are. That doesn't go away. So it's a nice framing kind of in the larger context of what Sam is going through and like what the episode is about, and like your mission and your journey and like the idea that what Jake says at one point is that you choose and you are also chosen. So like that idea that they have to how to reconcile those two things, that even as you get older, you still don't know what you are choosing and what you were chosen for.
Well, and the idea that the idea of becoming, Nahla is what, 300 years old?
422.
She's 422 years old, and she's still actively learning. She's still actively contributing. She's still showing up. To Will's point of, you don't really know how much time you have. I mean, I just think it's really interesting to look at that from the point of view of a person who is still evolving and becoming, even after 422 years, and that equal amount of experience.
All right. Well, that concludes the dinner party portion of the salon. Now let's talk about Sam and Carice Brooks is incredible. And also shout out to Will. There's connection happening between Sam and Occam. I know a couple weeks ago you said you were hoping for it. I hope you clocked it.
That shit. Called it. I called it.
And we're going to get into like the plots, but like what a fun choice too. Like given that he is telepathic, he can't read her. Like what a fun juxtaposition. I hope they expand on that. God, give them more episodes. God, they only get 10 episodes a season and they've only been approved for 2 so far. I need more. Carice Brooks, again, gem, acted the hell out of this. The emotion. I loved the styling of this episode. We're getting it from Sam's perspective, a brand new being. And like others have said, this character is sort of the odd one out character. What a crazy challenge for a brand new actor. Carice has worked in the arts, but mostly as a dancer. This is, I believe, her first or second acting role. And to be the Data of this show, or the Doctor of this show, or the Odo of this show, my goodness, the pressure that might be. And she just knocks it out of the park, to use a baseball reference on theme. I want to talk more about this. Let's turn it to Trevor.
I really just have 3 things to say about Sam. The first one is Queen Samuelita of Samuelita was fantastic. The second one's a little bit more serious. I loved using her innocence to point out the problematic interactions that she had with the Bajorans in the temple.
Girl.
It was so not okay, yet also like she didn't overreact to it. Like when she was pulled to the chancellor's office and told why she was wrong, there was this very like, oh, okay, I understand. Like it was, and she's not emotionless. She's been programmed to feel. And so at least she's been programmed to emote. I can assume that she's programmed to feel. So there wasn't this like overreaction of, oh my gosh, I'm a horrible being because I offended these people. It was just like, oh, I didn't know that was offensive. Thanks for letting me know. And it allowed such a horrible, insulting thing to be funny.
Yeah.
Which to me highlights that like there can be humor found everywhere. Like even when you're doing something wildly inappropriate, sometimes there's a funny in there. Particularly if your intentions are pure. And hers clearly were. But then the last thing I just want to point out, and I think most of you know that I'm right, but Stan, if you don't know that this is true, it's 1000% true, which is that drunk Sam and drunk Stan are the same person.
Oh my God, thank you.
If you don't believe me, show up at STLV at any bar at any time after 9 p.m.
And also join our Patreon.
Or join our Patreon and watch. I have a feeling he might be intoxicated come March.
Girl, I was a mess in March. I was a mess.
You will be a mess in March.
Time isn't. Who's to say? I am not linear. Thank you for that compliment, and let me reflect it back on Carice, because acting drunk is a challenge. I know Will knows that, working with actors and being in the background. I'm sure drunk on Into Darkness himself.
You never hung over if you're never sober.
You and Beverly.
I could hang.
We also got this is everything. I want to talk about Tawny Newsome for a minute.
Wait, was everybody done talking about Sam?
Oh, well, no, I'm weaving in.
Oh, I'm like, I just made like, I thought I threw you with a compliment and you weren't sure what to do or where to go.
Yes, and I want to weave in these two characters coming in and their work with Sam. Starting with Tawny Newsome, she also co-wrote this episode. Everybody knows she was Beckett Mariner, the voice of Beckett Mariner, and live-action Beckett Mariner in that episode of Strange New Worlds. An incredible comedian. I really hope the show she's developing with Justin Simeon moves forward. But seeing her in this episode, I will say on my first watch, I found myself seeing her with Sam, and I was like, she's a different kind of Cardassian. It's a little puzzling to me. And I thought, oh, it's 800 years later. Don't be one of those people, Stan. And then the reveal happens. And I was like, oh my God. And I am just, again, I do not know her. I am so happy for her that she is Isla Dax. Just so cool. Who has thoughts about Sam's interactions with a new Dax? Matt, do you want to talk about Dax, Matt?
Well, do I? I don't know. When you go back and watch this, the interactions and the choices that she makes at every single step of the way she holds her body, the way she speaks, the cadence. I remember I think maybe it was in the group chat, maybe it was someone, I forget, maybe I was talking to Trev. I was like, it seems weird. Oh no, it was on FaceTime with you, Trev. I was like, I don't know if I like this accent. Like, I don't know what she's trying to do. And I kind of mocked it a little bit. And I'll own up to that. Now that I know the reveal, oh God, this is just going to keep happening with talking to Dax with me tonight. When you think about how Terry Farrell gives her lines as Dax, and then you listen to Tawny knows every intonation. She knows every nuance. She knows Terry she might have called her for all I know. Obviously, I don't know anything, but like, that is what Dax would have sounded like. And knowing that this was a moment in Dax's life that she's finally meeting, because obviously that book was not given to a lot of people. So there may have been one or two other people over 800 years that have gotten to see it, because clearly she searched all of the records and no one else has mentioned it. So she finally is confronting the fact that after all this time, God damn it, after all this time, she's finally finding someone worthy of knowing the truth about what happened with Jake, with Cisco, with like, that is someone she was closest to. And then that is what overtakes her entire being. So every time you see her interact with Sam, it is Jadzia 100%. And it's incredible. It's
I can't imagine.
Tara, thank you. Yes, Norman. Sorry.
How many times did Tawny practice saying Benjamin in the front of the mirror to nail it the way that she needed to nail it?
It's insane. I literally only have one nitpick about that entire thing, and it's the makeup department. I wish they would have made it a little more obvious. I wish they would be a little more
it peeked
obvious.
Out a little.
It was hard to see the trill spots. I think there was a lot going on. I wish they were a little darker, but I could cry. Anyway, it was insane. The two of them together and the way she leads her through it, and breadcrumbs, all of these things, knowing that this is another individual that has all of this information. She is a Dax that has been around for 800 years. This is a photonic life form that can download information instantly. Like, she knows how to speak in between what the information is.
Others have thoughts about the interaction with Dax? I know Trevor wants. Oh, well, let's go to Will, and then I'll turn it over to Trevor to talk about Sirach first.
Yeah, you could tell, like I don't know if she said it, but you can tell that from this episode that DS9 is Tawny Star Trek. Like,
yes.
That's hers. She probably didn't have to rehearse talking like Dax. Like she probably didn't have to. Like, she was like, I got it. Like, they probably were like, oh, and you're gonna do it, because who else is gonna do that? I think there's an interesting thing that happens where the lesson of this is more meaningful that Sam found it, instead of Sam being told what the lesson was, instead of being told, well, here's the thing, go, because that's the easiest, the easiest route is not the best in this regard. And knowing that Dax is leading them to this, to kind of discover something about themselves and Cisco, is that they find something worthy in them, that like there's something that like this is going to live on in them, like this lesson is going to be so well earned that it's going to change the way Sam is, because we see at the end of the episode that it's changed them. But there's a kind of oh gosh, I lost it. I'm losing all sorts of thoughts today, guys. I don't know. I just thought it was really lovely. And to like kind of like someone who knows Star Trek so much, to lead kind of a generation into something new, to learn something, to become something else, become more, is just wonderful. It's wonderful.
I want to just really quickly point out, Joanne put this in the chat. Tawny had the character in mind with a different actor, but ended up doing it, according to a Golderby interview.
Yeah, I just wanted to throw in, like, I don't understand this format thing you're doing, Stan.
I'm all over. I'm sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to say, like, if they were going to bring back Dax in some format, and since they came to this century in disco, I've been wondering if it was going to happen. Tawny is the only person that I trust to carry Dax, so I'm happy it's her. So.
We got another wonderful interaction with Sirach Lofton reprising his role as Jake Sisko. Again, I got very emotional seeing him, having him talk about his dad, conjuring for me, like I talked about earlier, what Benjamin Sisko meant for me as a kid and wanting a father figure. Trevor, I know you have thoughts on Sirach's return to the franchise. Please, and whatever those thoughts may be, profound or video triggering, entirely up to you.
Listen, the man is perfection, and listen, I'm going to set aside any inappropriate thoughts for a moment, and just like I said it before, like I'm shocked that he hasn't been in all the things given his ability. Like he's so fucking talented and just such a genuinely lovely person. I've had minor interactions with, I had one rather lengthy conversation, but one conversation with him 5 years ago. So I'm not trying to act like we're best friends. I wish we were best friends, but we're not. He's just, but like every person that I know who's associated with Trek, who knows him or has had conversations with him, all says the same thing about how amazing he is. Carice was on Instagram slightly before she was supposed to, talking about how great he was and how great he was to work with and just to know. There's a famous picture of Will Wheaton and Sirach Lofton meeting for the first time during the Picard, I think it was Picard 1 or Picard 3 premiere, I can't remember which. But talk about two genuinely sweet people like interacting, and look, the universe didn't fall apart. Nice people can hang out together, and we should all know each other and be kind, and the world should be better. Anyway, rambly because Sirach. The thing that was so powerfully subtle with Sirach in this episode was the difference between the two scenes. The fact that he was only talking with her in the room and of course the crew, but acting as though he was speaking at a lecture, and then transitioning to just interacting with her. When he called her sis, I died. I left my body. I like phenomenal across that scene will live on in my brain until my brain no longer fires synapses. Like, it was gorgeous. I loved everything about it. And I can't wait. Hopefully, sometimes this table's a little crowded, so hopefully we get a chance to get up there at STLV, because I would love to rave about this. And I'm really, really hoping that all of the cadets are there too, because I got stuff I got to say, and I have thanks to give and praise and all the things. So yeah, I'll be calm soon, but it was delightful.
Others want to talk about Jake? I see Will and then Benji.
I think this episode, and I know Tawny kind of talks about in some of the interviews I've been reading, that she kind of got handed, her and Kirsten, friend of the pod, Kirsten Beyer, kind of got handed the kind of unenviable task of kind of putting a button on DS9 in a way. And I think giving Sirach the kind of, and Jake, the opportunity to speak about Cisco, but then also to say like that he didn't die, that we felt him there, like he was always around in these moments, that he did not leave us, he was there. As someone who lost their mother and lost someone who's very close to them, like I think my relationship with my mom was very similar to Jake and to Benjamin. That they're not gone, like she passed, she's gone, but I know she's around. And sorry, oh my god, that like that was so powerful to me, and this was the takeaway from the episode, was that like those people are gone. And that we might not know where their path ends. We may know where their path ends with us, but their path continues on without us, was so powerful to me. And for to tell someone who was younger than them, like, choose your path, you choose it and you are chosen to do it, was so powerful. And like giving Jake the opportunity to talk about his father, and that's how that memory continues on. So what a wonderful way to end that episode, and to give him that opportunity to speak for Avery, who has since retired, who has very strained relationships with the franchise, rightfully so in some instances. That to have Jake be the one that says that his legacy is important, and that what he did for the show is important, and it means so much to other people, I think is like, it gives him an opportunity to speak to the man that he knows. And I think that goes beyond what the episode speaks to in terms of Jake and his father, but Sirach and Avery, that he speaks to Avery as his own, as like someone who's kind of a surrogate father. So like, speak to them, because he knew him more as a father than he did as an emissary. Well, other people knew him, and you see that in the two conversations, the two times we see him, with the lecture where he's talking about Cisco as the emissary, as the public figure people knew, but then also as his father. So like, it's that kind of why that novel was never published, because he wrote about his father and knew that secret needed to be passed on to someone else who was worthy. And that was Dax, who carried it, who then gave it to Sam. That those stories matter. His legacy matters because it should help someone. Anyway, Benji, please stop.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to be saying the exact same thing that you just said. Because like I found like Jake to me was always, I think maybe during the series was a bit of an overlooked character, I guess I would say. Maybe even by me, but I came to really closely identify with him, and like throughout the series. So like my similar thing. Like my mother died, and then my father was ill, and like there are all these things that happen throughout the series where Ben's life is in jeopardy, his health is in jeopardy. Jake has to make decisions about his father's health, like which I forget which the title of the episode, but like he has to decide whether or not like Bashir is going to give his father this procedure so he stops having these visions or not, but Cisco wants to have them. And I was going through all of those exact similar things without the space magic. And then after my dad died, I like watched DS9, I think like literally like twice over. Like I watched the series, got to the last episode, and then like started over again. And I found myself just really identifying with Jake and like how he, racks up trauma every single time something like this happens to Ben. And like the story of Jake, like I don't cry that much at television, but like the story of Jake and Ben is like the only one probably in television, certainly in Trek, that makes me cry. And I cried at this episode, and I cried when Ben started speaking at the end. What I loved seeing was that like the only other time we've seen like a grown-up version of Jake was in The Visitor, and he'd been living this like tormented life. And there was a time for me where I never thought that I wasn't sure if I would ever have like a normal happy life. And then we see this new portrayal of Jake by Sirach, and we finally get that closure, and there's like a lightness to him. He's happy, and he's showing us that like Jake went on to have this like happy, healthy life. And I feel like I'm finally there too. And so it just touched me for that reason. Like our stories sort of culminated in the same thing. And so like that gave me a lot of closure. So it was like a really beautiful thing for me. So.
Thank you both for sharing that. This is a really important part of my week, and being with you all really matters. And I just love doing the salon for this and so many other reasons. And I love you all too very much. No homo. Sorry, I needed a palate cleanser. Time isn't linear at the salon this week. Let's talk about Sam's journey in this episode.
Wait, Joanne, did you have
something to say?
Oh, Joanne, yes, please.
I literally did.
I'm so sorry. I didn't see your hand. I'm so sorry. Please.
For me, pardon me, the thing that gives this scene with Sirach and Sam so much power is actually kind of where we start with Sam and her quote unquote parents, her makers, because she was so frustrated because they really didn't hear her and didn't understand her. Even though, and it came also the makers, her parents played by, I always say his name wrong, Chiwetel Ejiofor from 12 Years a Slave. So what a brilliant cameo. But for someone who had older parents and who didn't always kind of understand the choices that I wanted to make, one of the last conversations with my father was I was going to school and I lived in a program house. I wanted to live in a program house, African Heritage House. And my dad, they were products of kind of the Depression, the war, and Jim Crow, and the civil rights movement and all of that. And so he didn't understand why I wanted to live in a predominantly Black dorm. He thought, in his mind, it was segregation, right? And maybe something that they were making me do, or, trying to keep me from kind of the rest of the school. But for me, it was a conscious choice at this predominantly white institution to choose a place where I felt safe and at home. And it was a choice of empowerment, but we were at odds about that. So, I get, your parents not understanding the path you want to walk, and doing what they think is best for you and trying to guide you. and thinking they're helping you, but they're really just frustrating you. So then when you get to her talking to Sirach, and he has a completely different experience of being and a father and family. He always felt affirmed. He always felt seen. He always felt understood. And Jake, in turn, does that for Sam and tells her that she's enough. you know um and that your gifts and your talents make room for you, so don't be afraid to walk in that, because I see you, the world sees you, and what you're going to do will change your life and will change others' lives. Just so powerful, so that she could go back to her makers, right? And say, I got this. Appreciate you, right? Not going to disrespect you, but I got this. And I'll come to you when I need help, but I got this. I'm going to find my own way. Just, I don't know. I loved it. I loved it.
I just wanted to sort of dovetail all this by enjoying the canonization in Star Trek of the line, I can't prove it, but I know it's true.
Yeah.
Because we've talked a lot about those things, but I think we've all felt those. Like, not everybody shared those experiences, but we've all shared those experiences. We all have that thing that doesn't make sense, but we know that it's true. And we feel them, and having Sirach be the one to put it into the Trek universe is just beautiful. So.
And I know we are not linear, but circling back to the Bajoran Club, I want to talk a little bit about Sam's journey through this episode. First of all, I loved seeing that there were a bunch of Bajorans, enough to form a club at the Academy. It's not just one or two that we saw earlier in earlier iterations. They've become truly a part of the Federation. And my girl Sam, I know we talked about it a little bit earlier. The nonsense line is like, oh, you don't go into the church and tell people your book club isn't for me. I want evidence. Like, what are you doing? And appropriately chastised by Chancellor Ake. I want to just make some space for us to talk about her interaction with the Bajoran Club and with Chancellor Ake, rightfully nudging her towards continuing to ask questions, but in a more respectful way, perhaps.
It was a very Trek situation. It was a conversation only Trek could do with the comedy that I mentioned before, because the fish out of water is normally not explainable. But having a 4-month-old who is a sentient being who presents as a late teenager, stumbling into a situation she's never encountered before and summarizing a situation she's never encountered before so simply, was just, again, a thing that only Trek could do. And I loved having our youngest character with our oldest character, and having that reconciled, and having the oldest character provide a little bit of wisdom, with respect to the things that we can't prove but know are true.
Yeah. And gave her the idea of like, hey, there's a museum, you can digitally have it here. A little odd that she couldn't just beam to New Orleans, but sets, use these sets, whatever.
They're all first years. They aren't allowed to wander. Although
they don't have transporter rations. They can go across the bay, but they can't go to other cities.
And Genesis, it's my first planet. I like to explore. But so she knows how to find a bar. But beyond the bar, they didn't know anything else, or how to get around on Earth, and maybe don't have the credits to wander far away. So I appreciated the bringing it home. Also, if there is an actual orb in New Orleans, then it makes sense that the digital version, like, it wouldn't function as an orb. So like, it gave her reason to keep digging and then talk to the Jake hologram.
Yeah. And it was a beautiful update to the orb effect. The glitter around it was just stunning. Yes, the glitter. I'm not normally a fan of glitter, but that effect was stunning.
It tastes delicious.
The other thing I noticed, I watched this episode like 4 or 5 times. I had it on in the background for a little bit, and then I this episode. I'm going to keep saying it struck me. Like after watching it late last night, I started journaling some of my feelings. Star Trek has not nudged me in that way before, but I was like, I have to write my thoughts. I have to write my feelings. But one thing that I noticed on a rewatch, the voice in the museum bit reminded me very much of Joseph. It felt very New Orleans, and I thought that was just a lovely touch. And again, it moved us along really nicely to be like, oh, and then the way that she brought in her friends of like, hey, there's this mystery I'm trying to solve. She had that really cool storybook kind of thing. They all had a little moment. Caleb had his Caleb moment, like Matt was talking about earlier.
I love a coffee table book, and I want that one.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I thought Caleb made some interesting points about like, oh, it's mythology. These mythical beings either like they have to sacrifice. You can't ask the Bajorans these questions because then they have to confront their belief system. I agree. Hush and be respectful. But interesting points were made. He also had some really lovely moments with Sam trying to help her experience life more fully, to varying degrees of success, including her first visit to a bar, which I want to talk about for a lot of reasons. Sam's journey, being drunk, hilarious, fun, etc. We will come back to Sam, but I must note Jaden and Kyle having a moment at the bar and on the dance floor with my boy Darum having thoughts all across his face. The jealousy smashed across his face. I was screaming in these scenes. And I also want to shout out to Jackie Cox and to drag queens everywhere. Drag still exists in the 32nd century. Bigots, go fuck yourself. Shitty legislators, go fuck yourself. You cannot legislate away the art that is drag. Her moment in there was lovely. Kyle and Jaden was lovely. Darum's jealousy of not the War College, the way he tried to play it off, but of Kyle specifically. I had thoughts, and I want to hear y'all's thoughts on the bar scene. Who wants to go first? No, ready, Trevor.
I'll do it. I'm just thrilled. I was thrilled to see Jaden in the scant. I was so happy
throughout
to see
the whole thing.
Not a background character, not a Benji's having a moment. Not like it. I found the cadet uniforms on Amazon, and I'm way too old to be a cadet, but I'm now seriously considering it because like I want to wear the scant. It's so cute. I can't pull it off as well as Jaden did, or as much as Darum wanted to pull it off of Jaden. But I can pull it off. Anyway, the tension was real, but the romance was real. The sexual tension was real. Like it was so well played. Like it kind of bounced all over in very playful places, but also kind of serious places. And I was eating it up. And shout out, you're right, but kudos to Jackie Cox because like her moments were kind of perfect. Like
yes.
her delivery was not over the top. It was very, her timing was great. Her delivery was great. She recognized that her drag is the moment. She doesn't need to lean into it. Like,
yes,
we got you, girl. You're fabulous. Like, you don't need to try harder. It was all lovely. And yes, Ken, you're correct. I see him in the comments calling me out as a hooer.
I also want to say I am fortunate enough to know Jackie Cox, and she has mentioned a few other projects that she has talked to Tawny about, and obviously with Paramount, as Paramount is, things have not happened. But this being a surprise to me and so pitch perfect is so incredibly rewarding for someone who cares so much about this franchise. And for so many of us that see ourselves and are like, oh my God, I would love to be in Star Trek one day. And Jackie fucking put in the effort. She hosted Star Trek Day, or one of the premieres. I forget exactly what it was, but she's been part of this. She's laid the foundation. And it really just goes to show, like, if you care deeply enough and you keep pushing it and you keep doing it in a way that's respectful and that is true to yourself, and you can just she said what, like 3 lines on the whole thing, and she was the centerpiece of the visual. And if you look at that scene, having her in the blue with the red accent all around with everything else, like, she is clearly a star in the, yeah, exactly. Like, a lot of that, you see the reds, you see the pinks, you see all those, and she has that like aqua. I just want to say, like, I love Jackie Cox. She's a genuine gem of a human. And we talk about great people in Star Trek. She is one of those people that's not just like a drag queen having fun. It's not just, this is a person who knows Star Trek, who loves it just as deeply and wants to show that representation and deserves to show that representation. So I just want to do a huge, huge shout out and thank you to Jackie for doing this and getting to where she is. So
Wonderful addition. And again, drag in the 32nd century, it's not going anywhere. Keep trying.
Yeah, and she got to be like a little kind of mama with the gays, because she came in with those shots right when they needed them. She was like,
I'm sure this is very important. However, there are other people trying to enjoy this bar, so let's have a shot.
As a person who shows up with shots for the gays, I was very confused, because it was like, Ake is normally Captain Krista, and then Krista shows up with shots for the gays. I'm like, she's 2 characters at once. I'm struggling. I can't handle this episode.
Yes. Also, just to bring Sam back into it for a second, I loved the Romulan character standing up for Kyle and saying, "Step back, fish stick." However, the second she laid hands on my girl Sam, I do not advocate violence, but she earned that punch, and I am so proud of Sam for defending herself.
I figured out a way to make it make sense. Violence is never okay unless it's for the Cisco.
For the emissary! Channel it.
Her screaming for Cisco and diving at, like, I'm sorry. And interrupting smoochy time.
Like, oh yeah, they're getting together.
Like, but like them like making out in front of a bar and then like a body flying out of said bar.
And again, they're not being heavy-handed with Caleb and Tarima's burgeoning relationship,
aren't they?
Well,
pull it up. Pull it up. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, I don't have it. I'm sorry.
How dare you?
I thought it was a little, even for us, I thought it was a little too suggestive.
Girl, the zoom in with the Jumja stick in his mouth. The
Yeah.
director knew what she was doing.
Yes, they're doing it. They are. Too much. It's too much. Plus, I'm so sick. This is the face. I'm so sick of it. Are you ready? Just make this go somewhere. Make it go somewhere.
Make it go somewhere. Make it go away.
Well, I mean,
make it something.
Just make something. It's just stalled in the water.
It's not the romance we want.
And it's not the thing that anybody wants to see. But I do want to mention in the bar scene, my girl Genesis, she is who you want with you your first time in a bar.
Absolutely.
He was like, everything's cool. Everything's fine. I'm just going to give you this much space. You do what you need to do, but I've got you the whole time. No judgment, no anything. So in my opinion, Kyle from the other team and Genesis. Those are the two people that you want to have your first time hallucinogenics with, because you're not going to end up in a mosh pit. You're not going to end up lost in the woods next to a river. I can speak to both of those things being very disruptive. Very disruptive. So I'm loving Kyle as kind of like really a very intelligent beach volleyball player from SoCal. Just yeah. And Genesis being this not overtly but very subtly nurturing, but not in a tropey way, just sort of kind of watching out for everybody, but still your type A girl, but still comfortable in her own skin.
She's a young captain.
Huh?
She's a young captain.
Yeah. She really is. And sometimes, I think we get so tied up with this. I think I would rather hear about these other characters than spend any time with Caleb and Tarina. I'm divesting from that story. I'm selling my Bitcoin for that story. I'm dumping it. I'm not as the heterosexual in the group.
Fair. But the burgeoning relationship we need to see more of is this one, obviously.
They're so cute.
They're so cute. I also want to we're coming to the end of our episode here, but there was also a really interesting scene with Sam and the doctor. I feel like we should make some space to talk about her getting to talk with the doctor. There have been touches of this. Something's going on with the doctor. He's been online for over 800 years. He's got some thoughts about things. On a rewatch of episode 2, I clocked something that may or may not be a thing, but when they're leaving the turbo lift, it's the doctor and Chancellor Ake. He says, your wish is my command, Chancellor, for now. And like, it was a very subtle thing, but like the for now to me is maybe clocking, yeah, you're a Lanthanite, but I'm going to outlast even you. And so you juxtapose that with this scene where she's like, we know that he met Jake. He was a fantastic writer. And Sam getting asked, like, how do you deal with the loss of a father, loss of people? Like, you just get over it, being the response. Ooh, like he's not one for the gentle parenting. It's a different perspective that I appreciate. I don't love it, but I appreciate that we've got this kind of bristly character in Trek giving that, like, you just get over it. Like, oh,
but
interesting perspective.
No, go ahead, Krista.
Yeah, Krista, go.
Don't you think that these kids, because they are kids, regardless of their experiences, they are still kids, and they have their whole lives presumably ahead of them. And the doctor, I found that scene more representative of the difference between newborns and elderly people. You can only die so many times in your life. You can only have your trust broken so many times before you're no longer willing to offer that trust anymore. And I think, the doctor is a very good example of, was meant to be a foil of, she's here to learn. They're all here to learn. She's here to learn and also kind of decode the human consciousness, the human motivation, if you will, and the motivation of all the species around, including Starfleet as a whole. And he's not on that path anymore. The things that he's seen, the things that he's done, the things that he's lost, he took his path. His path went this way. He's a bit cynical now. I don't think that it's because he doesn't have the capacity to be open and becoming any further. I think it's just, again, you're back to fear, and fear preventing you from being inside the experience. And so I thought that was really a really great way to present the different perspectives based on just what aging does. If your path extends to being that old, you're not going to be the same. Palea's not the same. Nahla's not the same. You start out a blank slate. You start out, full of wonder and really, really wanting to find yourself, really wanting to feel yourself. And then you do. And sometimes that in and of itself will leave scars. It will. And if you can't summon up the energy to face them and forgive them in yourself, forgive your own culpability in it, you tend to get pretty cynical. You tend to lose hope, and you tend to come off as very, it's not that he didn't feel, it's that he doesn't want to feel. So he pushed back.
Yeah. Let's go to Matt, then Will, and then we'll land the ship.
No, I think Krista actually summed up what I was going to say too a lot. It's just that he didn't think he was going to have a life and consciousness to begin with, and now he's been given this, as actually Jake said in the chat too, he can conjure up everyone perfectly and remember every heartbreak, every first memory, every last memory. He's been through, and this is getting a little headcanony, but you can even think, and I was sitting here and realizing he went through the temporal wars. There's nothing to say that he didn't join a ship and go back and meet people again for the second time after hundreds of years. And it's now been hundreds of years after meeting them and not seeing them for hundreds of years. Like the scale at which he operates now is staggering. Like he could have gone and seen these people, helped them twice already, and still have outlasted them. And now he is just beyond. He really is. It's getting into that like almost Doctor Who element of being at the end of the universe and everyone has gone and you have done everything. What do you do? And it's almost that Q, the Q Who or Q, I forget which one, where he wants to die, where Quinn wants to die. And they're like, yeah, the
Death Wish.
Forever. What?
Death Wish.
Death Wish. Thank you. Not Q anything. It's almost like, yeah, he has not been around that long, but it's getting to that same thing of like, you've done everything. I've seen everything. I've been a doctor for so long. I've seen people live. I've seen people die. So yeah, it's insane to think about like what grief he's had to go through and why he's so callous. And that's why he locks it down quickly when she says it. Like, well, how do you do this? You just do it. Like, just do it now. Don't spare yourself even thinking about this. Just learn to shut it down now. So,
Will?
Yeah, I think we're probably going to get a doctor episode. If I'm not, I feel like we have to at some point. I think there's something interesting happening. We have not done a Thumb Wars for Voyager, but it is no secret. I'm not a huge fan of the Doctor. There are episodes I do like, but most of the time I find the character to be rather grating. Sorry, Robert Picardo, but dear God. I think it's interesting to see. I think he sees a lot of himself. The Doctor sees a lot of his younger self, like when he was first activated in the Delta Quadrant in Sam. Someone who's eager, someone who wants to be more than what they're programmed to be. But I think he also sees the curse of being immortal. That this is someone who has seen events that over a span of time that I think are unconscionable to the mortal mind. And I think even with we don't know how long Lanthanites live, but I think there's a certain thing that maybe Captain Ake will be able to, like, some type of wisdom she'll be able to bestow on him, because she's half his age, but probably has a different perspective on life than he does. But I think as someone like the Doctor who was so attached to his crew, watching them grow old and die as he kind of didn't, and then eventually asked to have like an aging algorithm put in, but he said it was for other people, but not for him. I think it's really for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. There was some interesting stuff happening in the chat. Norman was dropping some wisdom over there. I think if we look at like the comparison between the Doctor and Data, I think the character of the Doctor always felt a little like it was rooted in fear for me. Someone who was very anxious, who was very fearful of things, which may or may not be true. I always felt like there was something of him when he was always like, I'm not going to do it. And then he's forced to do it and goes, I did it. Yay. And everyone's like, we made you do this. Like, you didn't do this of your own accord. We forced you to do it until later. I think there's something in the Doctor's character in where he's afraid to die, that like he as a program could really determine when his life could have ended. And I think Data makes a point in season 1 of Picard to kind of go, this is the most human thing for me to do, is to die. That is the most human thing you could possibly do. It's not emotions. It's not anything else. It is to live and then to expire. So I think the Doctor has that sense of fear where he can't do it. And I think he sees in Sam the same path that he went down, where he's now seeing the curse and burden of immortality in someone, and is afraid of maybe interacting with that, to his own reflection, because he's never been good at like reflecting on himself in any meaningful way as a character throughout Voyager. So I don't know. I hope we get a good Doctor episode, because it's an interesting relationship between these two. I think this is a great dynamic to explore, especially someone who's so advanced in age as someone who's so new relatively.
I think that's right. Trevor, before landing the ship, I think Will made a really interesting point about exploring that I think is worth highlighting. Speaking of exploring,
push the
problematic gay alert.
Also, was that like Jello on a stick? Like, what was that?
That was a Jum.
It's Jum.
Wait. We are of one, because my first thought was not, oh my God, he's the lips and the sucking and the everything. Mine was, I thought that Jumjas were hard. I didn't know they were jelly.
I don't even know.
Trevor, land the ship, please.
This beat is sick. I want to put my lips on a Jumja stick.
Okay.
There was...
Everyone other than Trevor, please mute yourselves. We're landing the ship, and we need some focus on Trevor. Please land the ship.
It's all about me, people. It's all about me. There was one problematic gay alert. You're welcome. There was, let's see, what else did we track? Good Lord. Trev dragged a small-dicked YouTuber once. Saloners demonstrated that we do indeed have tear ducts 5 times. And last but not least, Stan blocked a troll once. For those of you keeping track who want to troll back, ITELA Merchant 1879 is a homophobic dick. So rewind if you need to reach back out to them and fuck with them, because they fucked with our live stream.
I got to that so quick, but you came in faster with the trolling of the troll. Good for you.
Mama, I'm not playing. I gave 40 proof bonus points to Will for never being hungover. I gave 212,000 bonus points to Joanne for boiling with her commentary, or a small lagoon there within. I gave 25,000 bonus points to Krista for putting up with all the silly lalas, silly wawas. I gave an additional 500 bonus points to Krista for girl, that face. I gave 5,000 bonus points to Matt for daxing the dax in a dax that could only dax with a dax. I took away 5 bonus points from Matt for stealing Krista's fucking answer. I gave Benji 5,000 bonus points for giving us his version of space magic. I gave however many fucking points he wants to Sirach Lofton for being fine, but more important than that, acting your fucking ass off in this beautiful episode. I gave 100 bonus points to Ken in the comments for showing up in the comments and being a trooper. I gave 690 bonus points to Cadet First Class Caleb Muir for working that jumja stick. I gave 250 bonus points to Cadet First Class Genesis Life for being the chaperone we all need while hallucinating. I gave 1 million bonus points to Shakira for being in Star Trek whenever, wherever. And last but not least, I gave 2 kabillion bonus points to Tawny and Kirsten for giving us the gift that is this beautiful episode. That's all I got.
Yes, and hello to Jadzia on screen, and here's Tendi on my screen. Two of the salon dogs. All right, sweetie, I gotta say goodnight.
And she finally got to see her namesake again.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay, you're really excited.
Y'all. All right, we're just gonna go ahead and throw on that mute button for you. Thank you all very much for joining us in this wonderful episode of The Salon. And yes, thank you, friend of the pod, Kirsten Beyer, and Tawny Newsom for writing just a stunningly beautiful, wonderful episode. You made us cry talking about it. And thank you all for being so lively in the chat. We're at Salon Trek, wherever you get your nonsense, or The Salon Trek over on Instagram's nonsense. We'll be back next week talking about episode 6. And until then, please do live long and prosper.
All hands abandon ship. Proceed to the nearest evacuation zone immediately.